In a world filled with constant noise and distraction, have you ever paused to wonder what it truly means to live with purpose, calm, and resilience? Today, we dive into one of the most profound and enduring works of philosophy, Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. This ancient text, penned by a Roman emperor who reigned at the height of the empire, is not just a record of personal reflections, but a timeless guide that challenges us to find clarity and strength within ourselves. In this video, we're going to explore the essence of meditations, uncovering the key concepts that have influenced countless lives throughout the centuries and continue to resonate in our modern existence. Meditations is a collection of personal writings that were never meant for public eyes. Instead, they served as a form of self-admonition, a series of reflections that helped Marcus Aurelius navigate the turbulent challenges of leadership, personal loss, and the constant pressures of an empire in flux. Written in the quiet moments of his day, these notes reveal the inner workings of a mind grappling with both immense power and the universal vulnerabilities of being human. The book is a powerful reminder that wisdom often comes from within and that, no matter our station in life, we all have the capacity to rise above the chaos through introspection and self-discipline. At its core, Meditations is a meditation on life itself. Marcus Aurelius invites us to consider the fleeting nature of time, the inevitability of change, and the importance of living in accordance with nature. One of the recurring themes is the concept of impermanence, recognizing that everything, from our most cherished moments to the greatest achievements, is transient. This recognition isn't meant to foster a sense of despair, but rather to empower us to live more fully in the present. By accepting that nothing is permanent, we can free ourselves from the anxiety of clinging to what we cannot control, and instead, embrace each moment with gratitude and mindfulness. Another critical aspect of the text is the idea of self-control and inner fortitude. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminds himself that his power lies not in external circumstances, but in the strength of his own mind. He advocates for the cultivation of a resilient inner life, a mindset that is unshaken by the whims of fate. Through this lens, the book teaches us that while we cannot always dictate the events that unfold around us, we can always choose how to respond to them. This focus on personal agency and self-discipline has made meditations a cornerstone for those seeking to develop a stoic attitude toward life's inevitable hardships. The text is also a profound exploration of duty and the interconnectedness of all things. Marcus Aurelius believed that every individual plays a part in the grand tapestry of existence, and that by fulfilling our roles, whether as a leader, a friend, or a family member, we contribute to the greater good. His reflections urge us to act with integrity, to be mindful of our responsibilities, and to consider how our actions affect those around us. This sense of duty extends beyond personal gain, inviting us to engage in the world with empathy and a commitment to the welfare of others. In today's fast-paced society, this message resonates strongly as we navigate the complexities of modern relationships and the often overwhelming pressures of contemporary life. What makes meditations particularly compelling is its raw honesty and vulnerability. Unlike many philosophical treatises that present abstract ideas in lofty language, Marcus Aurelius' writing is direct, personal, and grounded in real-life experience. His words are not the product of detached contemplation, but rather the intimate musings of a man striving to live a virtuous life amid the challenges of power and responsibility. This sincerity invites us not only to learn from his insights but also to reflect on our own lives. It is a call to examine our thoughts, question our assumptions, and ultimately to strive for personal growth in the face of life's uncertainties. In exploring the pages of Meditations, we are also introduced to the idea that every obstacle presents an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius viewed adversity as a natural part of the human experience, something to be met with courage and determination. This perspective is particularly relevant today as many of us confront personal and societal challenges. The text encourages us to see difficulties not as insurmountable barriers, but as catalysts for building character and inner strength. It's a timeless reminder that even in our darkest moments, we have the potential to learn, evolve, and emerge stronger. As we embark on this journey through the wisdom of Meditations, it's important to remember that the ideas contained within these pages are not meant to provide quick fixes or simplistic answers to life's complexities. Instead, they offer a framework for thinking deeply about our existence, a way to approach life with a blend of rationality and compassion, teachings of Marcus Aurelius remind us that while the world around us is often unpredictable, our inner lives are within our control. By embracing this philosophy, we can navigate our own lives with greater clarity, purpose, and a sense of calm determination. Now, as we wrap up this introduction and prepare to delve into the first chapter of Meditations, consider this: in a world where external forces seem to dictate our every move, can the wisdom of an ancient emperor empower us to reclaim our inner peace and live a more intentional life? In this first chapter, we set the stage by delving into the life and character of Marcus Aurelius, a figure whose wisdom and stoic approach to life continue to resonate across the centuries. Marcus Aurelius ascended to the role of Roman emperor and, in doing so, became one of the most influential leaders of his time. Yet, behind the mantle of authority, lay a man who sought solace and guidance in the pursuit of inner peace and personal virtue. Through his personal writings, compiled as meditations, he offers a rare glimpse into his internal struggles, triumphs, and the enduring philosophies that governed his actions. These writings, intended for his own reflection, provide a window into a mind that wrestled with the complexities of power, duty, and the fleeting nature of life. Marcus Aurelius is best remembered not only as a ruler, but also as a dedicated student of Stoic philosophy. His reflections in Meditations reveal an enduring commitment to the ideals of self-discipline, rationality, and the pursuit of virtue. Throughout the text, he emphasizes the importance of living in harmony with nature and accepting the transient nature of human existence. His meditations serve as a reminder that while external events remain largely beyond our control, our inner thoughts and reactions are our own to shape. This realization is at the heart of Stoicism, a philosophy that encourages individuals to focus on their own character and integrity, rather than being swayed by the unpredictable winds of fate. The emperor's personal journey was one of continual learning and self-improvement. Despite the immense responsibilities and challenges he faced as the leader of one of the most powerful empires in history, Marcus Aurelius consistently sought to cultivate an inner life that was both reflective and resilient. His writings are filled with observations on how to maintain balance and remain true to oneself amidst the pressures of duty and the inevitable hardships of life. This approach not only underscores his commitment to personal growth, but also serves as a guiding principle for anyone striving to navigate the complexities of modern life with grace and purpose. Moreover, Marcus Aurelius's reflections are steeped in humility and realism. Rather than portraying an idealized version of himself, he lays bare the struggles of maintaining virtue in a flawed world. His candid admission of personal shortcomings and the constant effort required to overcome them makes his insights accessible and profoundly human. In doing so, he bridges the gap between the lofty ideals of ancient philosophy and the practical challenges of daily living. His words remind us that the journey toward self-improvement is ongoing and that every individual, regardless of their station in life, is capable of striving for excellence. As we immerse ourselves in the life and thoughts of Marcus Aurelius, we begin to understand why his meditations have endured as a beacon of wisdom throughout history. His reflections are not mere historical artifacts, but living lessons that challenge us to examine our own lives and question how we confront our personal adversities. Now, as you ponder the legacy of this remarkable emperor and philosopher, ask yourself, how might embracing the challenges of life with the same thoughtful introspection and resolve as Marcus Aurelius transform your own journey? Stoicism, the philosophical foundation upon which Meditations is built, is more than just a school of thought. It is a way of life, a practice that demands discipline, reflection, and an unshakable commitment to personal growth. Rooted in ancient Greece and later refined in Rome, Stoicism teaches that our happiness and tranquility are not dictated by external circumstances, but by our ability to govern our own minds. Marcus Aurelius, as both emperor and philosopher, embodied this philosophy, striving to live by its principles even in the face of war, betrayal, and the burdens of leadership. At the heart of Stoicism lie three essential virtues that Marcus Aurelius returns to time and again in Meditations: truth, patience, and wisdom. Each of these plays a crucial role in developing the resilience and inner peace that define the Stoic way of life. Truth, in the Stoic sense, is not just about honesty in speech. It is about seeing the world as it truly is, unclouded by emotions, illusions, or personal biases. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminds himself to approach life with clarity and objectivity, recognizing that much of human suffering stems not from reality itself, but from our distorted perceptions of it. He encourages us to question our thoughts, to strip away unnecessary fears, and to look at every situation through the lens of reason. This pursuit of truth is not easy. It requires constant vigilance and a willingness to confront uncomfortable realities. For Marcus Aurelius, truth is closely tied to the acceptance of nature's course. Understanding that life unfolds according to universal laws, regardless of our desires or expectations. When we see things as they are, rather than how we wish them to be, we free ourselves from unnecessary disappointment and frustration. This perspective is especially valuable in today's world, where misinformation, emotional reactions, and personal biases often cloud judgment. The Emperor's insistence on truth teaches us to be mindful of our assumptions and to seek clarity in every aspect of our lives. Closely tied to this pursuit of truth is the virtue of patience. Marcus Aurelius lived in an era of great turmoil, yet his writings reveal a deep commitment to endurance and a self-restraint. Patience, in the Stoic sense, is not passive waiting, but an active practice of composure in the face of adversity. It is the ability to maintain our inner balance despite the chaos of the external world. The Emperor reminds himself repeatedly that obstacles, setbacks, and the failures of others are inevitable, but our response to them is entirely within our control. Rather than reacting with frustration or anger, he encourages a measured approach, reminding himself that everything passes with time and that emotional turbulence only worsens an already difficult situation. This principle is particularly relevant in our modern era, where instant gratification and emotional outbursts are the norm. By embracing patience, we cultivate resilience, allowing us to face difficulties with a sense of calm and determination. Wisdom, the final and perhaps most crucial Stoic virtue, ties these concepts together. For Marcus Aurelius, wisdom is not simply intellectual knowledge, but the ability to apply rational thought to life's challenges. It is the understanding that our time is limited and that we must use it wisely. Wisdom involves recognizing what is within our control and what is not, focusing our energy only on the former. It teaches us that external events, no matter how difficult, do not define us. Our character and choices do. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius frequently reminds himself to act with reason rather than impulse, to consider the long-term consequences of his actions, and to always strive for virtue over vanity. This form of wisdom also emphasizes the impermanence of life. The Emperor repeatedly reflects on the fleeting nature of existence, urging himself and, by extension, his readers to make the most of every moment. Instead of fearing death or regretting the past, he encourages us to focus on living well in the present, cultivating a mind that is steady, rational, and at peace. Together, truth, patience, and wisdom form the foundation of a life well lived, according to Stoic principles. They guide us toward a state of inner peace, teaching us to navigate life's uncertainties with clarity, endurance, and rational thought. Through Meditations, Marcus Aurelius offers not just abstract philosophy, but a practical guide for anyone seeking to cultivate a sense of tranquility amid life's inevitable struggles. His reflections serve as a reminder that true strength does not come from controlling the world around us, but from mastering ourselves. In an age where distractions, anxieties, and external pressures often dominate our lives, these lessons remain as vital as ever. As we close this chapter, consider this. If you could train your mind to embrace truth without distortion, to endure difficulties with patience, and to act with wisdom in every decision, how much more peaceful and purposeful would your life become? Self-reflection and self-improvement are at the very heart of Meditations, serving as the foundation upon which Marcus Aurelius builds his philosophy of life. Unlike many rulers of his time, he did not see himself as infallible or beyond reproach. Instead, he constantly examined his own thoughts and actions, holding himself accountable and striving to become a better person every day. Through his writings, we gain insight into a mind dedicated to self-examination, a mind that understood that growth is not automatic, but a deliberate and ongoing process. For Marcus Aurelius, true strength came not from power or conquest, but from the ability to confront one's own flaws with honesty and work toward personal excellence. His reflections offer a blueprint for anyone seeking to cultivate greater self-awareness and make meaningful progress in life. The practice of self-examination, according to Marcus Aurelius, is essential for living a virtuous and fulfilling life. He believed that by regularly evaluating our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we gain control over them rather than being controlled by them. In meditations, he reminds himself to take a step back and observe his own mind, to question his impulses, and to ensure that his decisions align with reason and virtue. This process of self-reflection is not about self-criticism or dwelling on past mistakes, but rather about learning from them and making better choices in the future. He encourages us to ask ourselves important questions. Are my actions in harmony with my values? Am I reacting emotionally rather than rationally? What can I learn from today's successes and failures? This level of introspection allows us to refine our character and navigate life with greater wisdom and clarity. Self-improvement, as Marcus Aurelius saw it, is not about achieving perfection, but about making gradual, consistent progress. He recognized that personal growth is a lifelong journey. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminds himself that his happiness and peace of mind do not depend on external events, but on his own interpretations of them. He understood that it is not what happens to us that determines our emotional state, but how we choose to perceive and respond to it. By consciously choosing rational and constructive thoughts over negative and destructive ones, we gain the ability to remain calm and composed even in difficult circumstances. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that bad things do not happen. Rather, it means approaching every situation with a mindset that seeks solutions rather than dwelling in frustration or despair. The idea that we have control over our own thoughts is one of the most empowering lessons in meditations. Marcus Aurelius believed that our minds are our most valuable possession, and that by training them properly, we can free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. He reminds himself again and again that external circumstances are beyond his control, but his response to them is entirely up to him. If he allows himself to be consumed by anger, fear, or regret, he is giving away his power. But if he remains focused on what he can control, his actions, his thoughts, and his attitude, then he remains unshaken, no matter what life throws at him. This practice of mental discipline is not easy, but it is the key to lasting peace and personal growth. One of the most striking aspects of meditations is its humility. Despite being Emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius never assumed that he had already achieved wisdom or that he was beyond improvement. Instead, he constantly reminded himself that he had much to learn and that he, like everyone else, was prone to mistakes. This humility is a powerful lesson for all of us. It teaches us that self-reflection is not a one-time exercise but a daily practice. No matter how much we grow, there will always be more to learn. No matter how disciplined we become, there will always be moments when we falter. What matters is not achieving perfection, but committing to the process of self-improvement every single day. Ultimately, Meditations is not just a book of philosophy. It is a guide to living a meaningful and examined life. It reminds us that real progress comes from within, from our willingness to look at ourselves honestly and to put in the effort to become better. Through self-examination, we gain self-awareness. Through self-improvement, we become stronger and more virtuous. Through positive thinking, we take control of our minds and our lives. These principles remain as relevant today as they were nearly 2,000 years ago, offering us a timeless roadmap for personal growth and fulfillment. As we reflect on these ideas, consider this. If you were to take a moment every day to examine your thoughts and actions, to identify areas for growth, and to actively work on them, how different would your life be a year from now? Control and acceptance are two of the most fundamental themes in meditations, shaping the way Marcus Aurelius viewed both the world around him and his own inner life. As a Stoic philosopher, he understood that the key to peace and fulfillment was learning to differentiate between what we can control. This distinction is simple in theory, but profoundly difficult in practice. Much of human suffering, according to Marcus, comes from our attempts to exert control over things that are ultimately beyond our influence. By clinging to desires, expectations, and frustrations about the external world, we set ourselves up for disappointment. However, by shifting our focus to what is within our power, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we can cultivate a sense of inner tranquility that remains unshaken, no matter what challenges life presents. The concept of control is central to Stoicism, and Marcus Aurelius consistently reminds himself that his true power lies within his own mind. He acknowledges that he cannot dictate the actions of others, the unfolding of fate, or the unpredictable events of the world, but what he can control is how he responds to these events. This understanding is liberating because it removes the burden of trying to shape reality according to personal desires, instead of resisting the inevitable or growing angry at circumstances beyond his command. Marcus teaches himself to focus his energy on the one thing he can always govern: himself. He views self-mastery as the highest form of power, a discipline that enables a person to remain calm, rational, and virtuous regardless of external conditions. This lesson is particularly relevant in modern life, where so many people struggle with stress, anxiety, and frustration over situations that are completely out of their hands. By internalizing this Stoic principle, we too can develop a mindset that allows us to navigate life with greater ease and strength. However, control alone is not enough. Acceptance plays an equally vital role in achieving peace of mind. Acceptance, for Marcus Aurelius, is not about passivity or resignation, but about understanding the natural flow of life and working in harmony with it rather than against it. He believed that everything that happens is part of a larger order governed by reason and necessity. Resisting this order is not only futile, but also self-destructive, leading to unnecessary suffering. When we fight against the reality of a situation, we only create more inner turmoil. But when we learn to accept life as it is, embracing both its beauty and its hardships, we free ourselves from the chains of frustration and despair. One of the most powerful insights from meditations is the idea that suffering comes not from events themselves but from our judgments about them. Marcus Aurelius continually reminds himself that nothing is inherently good or bad, only our perception makes it so. A setback at work, a betrayal by a friend, or even the loss of a loved one, while deeply painful, do not possess an inherent negative quality. It is our interpretation of these events that causes distress. By learning to change our perspective, to see obstacles as opportunities for growth and hardship as part of life's natural rhythm, we regain control over our emotional state. This practice does not mean suppressing emotions or ignoring difficulties. Rather, it means acknowledging them without allowing them to consume us. It is a shift in mindset that allows us to approach life with wisdom and resilience. Another crucial element of acceptance is recognizing the impermanence of all things. Marcus Aurelius often reflects on the fleeting nature of life, reminding himself that everything, both joy and sorrow, will eventually pass. He urges himself to embrace this reality rather than fear it. By understanding that time moves forward, regardless of our wishes, we can learn to appreciate the present moment fully, rather than wasting energy on regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. This perspective fosters gratitude, helping us to find contentment even in the simplest experiences. When we let go of the illusion that we can control the passage of time or prevent change, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace. The balance between control and acceptance is ultimately what defines a Stoic approach to life. We must take responsibility for our own character, our thoughts, and our actions, striving always to act with wisdom and integrity. At the same time, we must release our grip on the things we cannot change, allowing life to unfold as it will without resistance. This balance is not easy to achieve, but it is the key to living with both purpose and serenity. Marcus Aurelius did not just theorize about these ideas. He lived them every day through war, political turmoil, and personal loss. His ability to maintain his composure and sense of duty amidst the chaos of his reign is a testament to the power of this philosophy. In our own lives, this principle remains just as relevant. We are constantly faced with situations beyond our control, difficult people, unexpected hardships, and the uncertainties of the future. But by focusing only on what we can influence and learning to accept the rest, we can cultivate a mind that is calm, resilient, and free. This is not an easy practice, but it is one that leads to lasting fulfillment and strength. Imagine how different life would be if, instead of reacting with frustration or fear, we met every challenge with clarity and acceptance. Now, as we close this chapter, consider this. What would happen if you stopped resisting the things you cannot change and instead focused entirely on mastering yourself? How much more peace and freedom would you experience? The concepts of life and death, are central themes in meditations, as Marcus Aurelius reflects deeply on the transient nature of existence and what it means to truly live. Unlike many who fear death or try to avoid thinking about it, Marcus Aurelius confronts it head-on, not with dread, but with a calm acceptance that allows him to find greater meaning in life. To him, death is not something to be feared, but a natural and inevitable process, one that every living being must face. Instead of resisting this truth, he urges himself to embrace it, using it as a guide for how to live wisely and virtuously. His reflections remind us that by understanding the reality of death, we can learn to live with greater purpose, clarity, and peace. Marcus Aurelius believed that the fear of death is one of the greatest obstacles to living fully. He saw how people spent their lives anxiously, trying to avoid the inevitable, distracting themselves with meaningless pursuits, and clinging desperately to wealth, power, or status in a futile attempt to give their lives permanence. But he understood that no matter how much we achieve or accumulate, time will eventually take everything from us. This is not a pessimistic view. It is a liberating one. By acknowledging the temporary nature of all things, we free ourselves from the illusion of control and learn to appreciate life for what it is, a fleeting moment in the vast cycle of existence. For Marcus Aurelius, death is simply a return to nature, a transition, rather than an end. He often reminds himself that everything in the universe follows a natural order. Just as a leaf falls from a tree, just as the sun sets and rises again, so too must every person eventually pass away. There is no tragedy in this. It is simply the way of things. He encourages himself and us to see death as neither good nor bad, but as a part of life itself. If we accept that all things are temporary, we can let go of the fears and anxieties that hold us back. We can stop wasting time worrying about when our time will come and instead focus on living each day with integrity, wisdom, and purpose. Understanding the certainty of death also clarifies what truly matters in life. If we recognize that our days are limited, we are forced to ask ourselves, how should we spend the time we have? Marcus Aurelius emphasizes that the true purpose of life is not found in pleasure, status, or external success, but in virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline. He reminds himself repeatedly that it does not matter how long one lives, but how well. A short life lived with meaning and virtue is far more valuable than a long life wasted on trivial pursuits. By keeping this in mind, we can focus on what is truly important, ensuring that we do not reach the end of our lives with regret. One of the most profound lessons from meditations is the idea that we should live every day as if it were our last, not in the sense of reckless indulgence, but with the awareness that each moment is precious. Marcus Aurelius writes that we should never postpone doing what is right, never delay in pursuing truth and wisdom, because we do not know how much time we have left. This perspective shifts our priorities. It makes us more present, more appreciative of what we have, and more determined to live in a way that aligns with our deepest values. Instead of worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, we can focus entirely on the present moment, making the most of the life that is unfolding before us. By contemplating death regularly, Marcus Aurelius does not become morbid or depressed. Instead, he finds freedom. He realizes that if death is inevitable, then there is no point in fearing it. If everything passes, then our struggles, anxieties, and pains are also temporary. This understanding gives him the strength to endure hardships with patience and dignity. It reminds him to act with kindness and integrity, to avoid wasting time on petty conflicts, and to appreciate the people around him while he still has the chance. His meditations on death are, in reality, lessons on how to live with greater purpose and clarity. The philosophy of Stoicism teaches that we do not control the length of our lives, but we do control how we live them. Marcus Aurelius urges himself to accept death not as an enemy, but as a natural part of existence. By embracing this truth, we can free ourselves from fear and learn to live with greater wisdom, focusing on what truly matters. When we stop fearing death, we stop fearing life itself. We become more courageous, more present, and more willing to take meaningful action. As we reflect on these timeless lessons, consider this. If you knew that today was your last day, how would you live it differently? Would you focus on what truly matters, or would you continue to be distracted by the trivial concerns that so often consume our days? Morality and duty are two of the most important pillars in meditations, shaping Marcus Aurelius' philosophy on how one should live. As both a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, He saw himself as a servant to a higher moral law, bound by duty not just to the empire, but to all of humanity. His reflections reveal a deep sense of responsibility, an understanding that one's actions should be guided by virtue, integrity, and a commitment to the greater good. For Marcus, morality was not merely a set of rules imposed by society, but a fundamental part of human nature, something that should be cultivated through self-discipline, wisdom, and a devotion to justice. He believed that true fulfillment comes from living a life of purpose, where one's actions align with reason and virtue, rather than personal gain or fleeting desires. Duty, to Marcus Aurelius, was not an obligation to be resented, but an essential part of a meaningful life. He believed that every individual has a role to play in the grand order of existence, and that fulfilling this role to the best of one's ability is the highest form of service. As emperor, he viewed his position not as an opportunity for power or self-indulgence, but as a responsibility to lead with wisdom and justice. He constantly reminded himself that his duty was to serve, to act in accordance with nature's law, and to put the needs of the people above his own. He rejected vanity, arrogance, and selfishness, knowing that a leader who seeks only personal glory is a leader who fails his people. This unwavering dedication to duty, despite the many challenges and hardships of his reign, is a testament to his strength of character. But duty is not limited to emperors or those in positions of power. Marcus Aurelius believed that every person, regardless of their role in society, has a duty to act with virtue and to contribute to the common good. He saw humanity as a vast interconnected system where each individual plays a part in maintaining order and harmony. Just as a bee serves its hive or a branch serves the tree, so too must a person serve their community. This does not mean blindly following orders or conforming to societal expectations, but rather acting in a way that upholds justice, wisdom, and integrity. He warned against selfishness, laziness, and the pursuit of pleasure at the expense of duty, urging himself to rise each day with the determination to do what is right, no matter how difficult. Morality, in the Stoic sense, is deeply tied to duty. For Marcus Aurelius, the moral path is the one that aligns with reason and the natural order of the universe. He believed that humans are rational beings, and that our highest purpose is to use this reason to act justly. To live morally is to live in accordance with nature, to be honest, fair, and self-disciplined in all things. He was particularly concerned with how people treat one another, emphasizing kindness, patience, and understanding. Even in the face of betrayal, cruelty, or ignorance, he reminded himself that his duty was to respond with wisdom and virtue, rather than anger or resentment. He understood that other people's actions are beyond his control, but his own reactions are entirely within his power. This mindset allowed him to remain composed and just, even when faced with adversity. One of the most striking aspects of Marcus Aurelius' philosophy is his belief that doing the right thing should be its own reward. He warns against seeking praise or recognition for moral actions, reminding himself that virtue is valuable in itself, not because of external rewards. A person who acts justly, only when others are watching, is not truly moral. Real virtue comes from doing what is right, even when no one else will ever know. This idea is as relevant today as it was in ancient Rome. In a world where social status, success, and external validation often take precedence over integrity, Marcus Aurelius' teachings offer a powerful reminder that the true measure of a person is found in their character, not in their reputation. Another crucial lesson in Meditations is the idea that morality is a constant practice, not a fixed state. Marcus Aurelius did not see himself as a perfect man, but as someone striving to live up to his highest ideals. He recognized his own weaknesses, his moments of frustration, doubt, and imperfection, but he never allowed these setbacks to define him. Instead, he saw them as opportunities for growth. Each day was a new chance to act with virtue, to fulfill his duty, and to improve himself. This mindset is invaluable for anyone seeking to live a moral life. We all make mistakes, but what matters is our commitment to learning from them and striving to be better. Ultimately, Meditations teaches us that morality and duty are inseparable from a meaningful life. To act with virtue, to serve others, and to fulfill one's responsibilities with integrity, these are the foundations of true fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius did not believe in seeking happiness through pleasure or material wealth, but through the satisfaction of knowing that one has lived justly. This philosophy offers a timeless guide for how to navigate life's challenges, how to rise above selfish desires, and how to find purpose in serving something greater than oneself. As we reflect on these lessons, consider this. If you were to live each day as if your only goal was to act with virtue and fulfill your duty, how would your life change? What choices would you make differently? Stoic philosophy, though born in the ancient world, remains profoundly relevant in modern life. In a world that is increasingly fast-paced, uncertain, and filled with distractions, the principles laid out by Marcus Aurelius in Meditations offer timeless wisdom on how to manage stress, foster personal growth, and cultivate a positive lifestyle. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions or detaching from the world. Rather, it is about developing the inner strength to remain calm and rational in the face of adversity. It teaches us that while we may not have control over external events, we always have control over our thoughts, reactions, and actions. This mindset, when properly applied, can help us navigate life's challenges with resilience and clarity. One of the biggest struggles in modern life is stress. Whether it comes from work, relationships, finances, or the constant demands of technology. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, understood that much of our stress is caused not by the events themselves, but by our perceptions of them. He reminds himself repeatedly in Meditations that things are not inherently good or bad, only our judgments make them so. This means that we can reduce our stress not by trying to control everything around us, but by changing how we interpret and respond to situations. If we can learn to see obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than burdens, if we can accept setbacks as natural parts of life rather than personal failures, then we can free ourselves from much of the anxiety that weighs us down. The modern world constantly bombards us with challenges, but by adopting a Stoic mindset, we can meet these challenges with patience and a steady mind. Personal growth is another fundamental aspect of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius did not see self-improvement as a destination, but as an ongoing process, a daily practice of becoming a wiser, more virtuous person. He believed that true growth comes not from external success, but from developing inner character. This means embracing discomfort, learning from mistakes, and constantly striving to be better today than we were yesterday. He also warns against wasting time, worrying about the opinions of others, a lesson that is especially relevant in the age of social media. In Meditations, he reminds himself that the approval of others is fleeting and ultimately unimportant. What matters is whether we are living according to our own principles, whether we are acting with integrity, and whether we are making choices that align with our values. By focusing on our own development, rather than seeking validation from others, we can build confidence, resilience, and a sense of inner peace. A key element of Stoicism that contributes to a positive lifestyle is the practice of gratitude and perspective. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflects on the fact that life is short, unpredictable, and always changing. Rather than lamenting what we lack, he encourages us to appreciate what we have. In today's world, where it is easy to get caught up in comparison and dissatisfaction, this lesson is more important than ever. Instead of chasing after things that may never bring lasting happiness, Stoicism teaches us to find contentment in the present moment, to be grateful for what we have, and to recognize the beauty in even the smallest aspects of life. This simple shift in perspective can transform our experience, making us more fulfilled, less anxious, and more at peace with the world. Another crucial Stoic practice that applies to modern life is the idea of focusing only on what we can control. Many people today experience frustration, anger, and disappointment because they invest too much energy in things beyond their control. The behavior of others, the state of the economy, the opinions of strangers. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminds himself that the only thing he can truly govern is himself, his thoughts, his actions, and his responses. By internalizing this principle, we can free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. If a co-worker is rude to us, we cannot change their behavior, but we can control whether we react with anger or with calmness. If we encounter setbacks in our careers, we may not be able to alter the circumstances, but we can control how we move forward. This principle is one of the most powerful tools Stoicism offers for maintaining a sense of peace and agency in a world that often feels chaotic. Stoicism also teaches us the importance of resilience. Life will never be free of challenges, and the Stoics knew this well. But instead of seeing hardship as something to be avoided, they viewed it as an essential part of life, something that tests and strengthens us. Marcus Aurelius believed that difficulties were not obstacles, but opportunities to practice virtue. If we face adversity with patience, courage, and wisdom, we transform hardship into growth. This mindset allows us to approach life with a sense of calm confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, we have the ability to endure and overcome. Ultimately, Meditations offers a philosophy that can help us build a life of greater purpose, resilience, and fulfillment. It teaches us that stress is not something to be eliminated but something to be managed with wisdom. It reminds us that personal growth is a lifelong journey, one that requires daily effort and self-reflection, and it encourages us to cultivate a positive lifestyle, not by chasing after external success, but by focusing on what truly matters: character, virtue, and the ability to meet life's challenges with grace. In today's complex world, where distractions and pressures are constant, these lessons are more valuable than ever. As we reflect on the ways Stoicism can improve our modern lives, consider this: if you truly embrace the idea that you control only your thoughts and actions, how much of your current stress and frustration would simply disappear? At its core, Meditations is not just a book. It is a guide to living a life of wisdom, resilience, and inner peace. The reflections of Marcus Aurelius, written not for an audience but for himself, reveal a man constantly striving to live virtuously in a world full of challenges. His words resonate across time, offering timeless lessons on how to navigate adversity, manage emotions, and cultivate a mindset that leads to true fulfillment. In the end, the message of Meditations is simple. We cannot control the world around us, but we can control how we respond to it. And in that control lies our greatest power. Throughout his writings, Marcus Aurelius returns to a few essential principles: acceptance, discipline, gratitude, and the pursuit of wisdom. He understood that life is unpredictable, filled with setbacks, loss, and hardship. Yet instead of resisting these realities, he embraced them, recognizing that suffering is not what destroys use. It is our reaction to suffering that determines our experience. He teaches us that we must accept what we cannot change with grace while dedicating ourselves fully to the things we can control. This balance between acceptance and action is the key to a meaningful life. One of the most valuable insights from Meditations is the importance of living according to virtue. Marcus Aurelius was constantly aware of his duty, not just as an emperor, but as a human being. He believed that every person has a responsibility to act with justice, honesty, courage, and self-discipline. A good life is not measured by wealth, status, or pleasure, but by how well one aligns with these virtues. In today's world, where external success is often mistaken for fulfillment, this reminder is more relevant than ever. True happiness is not found in what we accumulate but in the kind of person we become. Another profound lesson from Meditations is the idea that life is fleeting and that we must make the most of our time. Marcus Aurelius constantly reflects on the temporary nature of all things: our possessions, our problems, even our very existence. Instead of fearing this truth, he sees it as a motivation to live fully in the present moment. By accepting that death is inevitable, we free ourselves from fear and hesitation. We learn to stop wasting time on trivial matters, meaningless arguments, or the pursuit of things that do not truly bring us joy. Instead, we focus on what is truly important: our actions, our character, and the impact we have on those around us. Applying the wisdom of Meditations in daily life requires conscious effort, but it is entirely possible. One of the first steps is to practice self-reflection. Just as Marcus Aurelius used his journal to examine his thoughts, actions, and weaknesses, we too can develop a habit of daily reflection, taking a few moments each day to evaluate our behavior, acknowledge our mistakes. Improvement can lead to profound personal growth. The goal is not perfection, but progress. The commitment to becoming a little wiser, a little stronger, and a little kinder each day. Another practical way to integrate Stoic philosophy is to shift our focus from what we cannot control to what we can. Many people spend their lives consumed by worry, anger, and frustration over things outside their power: other people's opinions, external circumstances, or the past. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us that freedom comes from letting go of this need for control. Instead of obsessing over what we cannot change, we should direct our energy toward our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. When faced with adversity, we can ask ourselves, what is within my control? How can I respond with wisdom and composure? This simple mindset shift can reduce stress and increase our sense of agency in life. Gratitude is another crucial practice in Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius often reminds himself to appreciate the present moment, to find contentment in what he has rather than always longing for more. In today's world, where people are constantly chasing after bigger achievements and comparing themselves to others, cultivating gratitude can be a powerful antidote to dissatisfaction. Taking time each day to acknowledge what we are grateful for, our health, our loved ones, the simple joys of life, can transform our perspective and make us more resilient in the face of challenges. Lastly, embracing discomfort as a path to growth is an essential part of Stoic practice. Marcus Aurelius believed that hardship is not something to be avoided, but embraced as an opportunity to strengthen our character. Instead of complaining about difficulties, we should see them as training, chances to develop patience, courage, and resilience. Whether it is facing a fear, pushing through a difficult situation, or stepping outside our comfort zone, every challenge we encounter is a chance to grow. As we close this exploration of meditations, one final question remains. How will you apply these lessons in your own life? Will you let external circumstances dictate your happiness, or will you take control of your mindset and actions? The choice is yours, and in that choice lies the path to true wisdom and fulfillment.